But Marie, you call me up 2 or 3 times a week and hope I see you driving around town, and I know you're up to something. And you're both going to turn 100. Why are you still doing it at 100? Why are you still inspired to stay so engaged?
Well, we're not dead, so of course we're doing it.
It's a hard habit.
There was a moment in my life.
We're celebrating Hope Porter and Marie Ritter, 2 amazing women who have lived for 100 years. To this day, they are still a source of my energy, my enthusiasm for our work. They are still leading, they are still encouraging, they're still engaging, they're still reminding us of what can happen when we all work together. But most importantly, they work every day to engage the rest of us in the work of conservation and making communities better.
When I look back on my life, I think the fact that I had, from my earliest days, I had a means of going anywhere I wanted to. Because we had horses, you could go in any direction you wanted to go. And when you were a small child, 10 or 11, that was a great freedom.
Well, I had the same experience of freedom and going anywhere in White Marsh, PA, which is now almost part of the city of Philadelphia.
Really?
Not quite, yeah.
So one of the things that is remarkable about these 2 lives is that they have both worked on very significant properties in the landscape of Fauquier County. Hope Porter is known for her work of ultimate conservation of North Wales.
What was the big threat?
In your case, North Wales.
Yeah, well, I think it was just the gradual nibbling to death of the county. I think we were very lucky to get something big like North Wales, because we would have lost the county bit by bit if it hadn't been for something like
you
that.
saved North Wales.
But the county was extremely lucky to have had something of that magnitude. People who didn't want to be interested at all, they had to be. It was a do or die. There was nothing else in our lives. It's all we did for years. We were successful, and then the place was bought by a very nice couple, and they put an easement on the property. Nothing can ever happen to that land.
Another example of large-scale conservation from this friendship is a project called Texas Farm. It was on the market, and Marie Ritter was worried it would be developed.
Well, Texas was going to be developed into 5 and 10 acre lots. It's prime farmland, and it's also very beautiful. So I luckily had a partner, and we bought it. As a consequence, we once got an award from the Farmland Trust, and they have used it as a model, which was nice, persuading people that if you put land under easement, it does not diminish, but really increases its value.
I hope that tonight and in the days to come, you'll learn more about Marie Ritter, the person. She has had a fascinating life, and she has lived across a century of change, and she's taken part in a lot of that herself. She was part of Head Start and the creation of the idea of extending schooling. She's been part of the beginnings of conservation, both in the United States in the 1960s and 70s and in Virginia. She was the first secretary of the Council on Environmental Quality in Virginia at a time when we were writing the original legislation to protect the Chesapeake Bay and to encourage land conservation.
There was a moment in my life when I went to some environmental conference with Hope, and it was when I was chairman of the council, and something we were fighting with VDOT, and I said out loud, well, we should just get rid of VDOT. And Hope put her hand on my arm and said, do you remember you're a member of this administration? You can't say that.
Don't remember.
To this day, she is still engaging around the issues of the day and encouraging the opportunities for a better future tomorrow. You've worked with every governor for what, the last 50 years?
No, I haven't. There are whole governors I haven't worked with. George Allen I worked against.
Yeah.
So, on the whole, I've had an interesting political life in Virginia.
I've been working with Hope on conservation issues in Fauquier County since 1993, when she was part of a group of people who decided that a theme park in Haymarket, Virginia, the Disney America project, was going to irrevocably change the rural area that we all enjoy. And Hope was central to the strategy and the execution of a campaign that was ultimately successful. She led the protests against the theme park at Great Meadow during Gold Cup and got herself arrested and detained by state police who were protecting George Allen, who was then governor.
Oh, God. It was, there were 3 or 4 friends who were getting dressed up, and they were marching around, and they were arrested, and they were taken and put into the paddy wagon. And I heard about it, and I walked up, but I was walking past this black truck, and these little voices, "Hope, we're in here, we're in here." They were all. I was arrested, but then very quickly they were escorting me off the premises, and the chief cop saw them and they stopped them. But I had hired 2 airplanes to come, and they flew over, but they had a streamer saying, the governor was there, and saying, "Governor, don't sell Fauquier County."
So when you look at the place that Hope and Marie have worked on together, Fauquier County, I hope you understand that it's become a model for how a community can express its interest in conserving land, of building a great place for people to live, work, and play, the one that protects its water resources, that supports its agricultural community. Fauquier is a remarkable place. At this time in history, in 2024, it's protected over a quarter of the land area, but it's also a place that's increasingly available to the public to enjoy. You have to realize that when they were thinking about the future back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, the economic development community saw Fauquier as a bedroom community to Washington, D.C. Hope and Marie had a different vision. They shared that vision with hundreds and thousands of their friends and acquaintances. They brought them together to push for a better future, and the results are astounding. The fact that we're all here together is a result of their willingness and ability to engage others in the work that they care about so much.
We got a lot more out than we put in, you know, from benefits from all our efforts towards the county. But it was, you know, people, so many people I never would have known became great friends. So I look back on it as been a terrific plus in my life. I just think we want to keep on doing what we're doing. I think we're doing pretty well, and I hope generations to come will carry on. I'm sure they will.